Hi, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining us today for our February alumni webinar, Esports 101 with Jacob. I am Robin McLaughlin, Associate Alumni Director here at Northwood University. If you have any questions for Jacob during today's webinar, please use the Q&A feature to submit those. We will have time at the end to answer any of those questions. Jacob is a Northwood alumnus graduating in 2019 with a BBA in marketing. He has been in the esports industry for 9 years as a coach, competitor, event coordinator, and more. After nearly 200 events, he brought his expertise to Northwood Esports program in 2021 to support the huge success of Northwood Esports. Utilizing Northwood Esports Arena has allowed Jacob to coordinate dozens of tournaments, bringing attention to the opportunities Northwood has to offer. Jacob has helped grow our esports program. Thank you, Jacob, for joining us today.
Hi, absolutely. Thank you for having me. Hello, everyone. My name is Jacob. I am the head coach here at Northwood. Yes, I am the same person you may have gotten on your email. I'm currently just growing out my hair to donate it to alopecia and cancer patients. So after I donate that, I'll probably shave as well and look a little bit more like the picture you saw. But let's go ahead and hop right into it. I'm here to present Esports 101. So a little bit of a crash course on esports and how it's relevant to anyone who might be interested from Northwood. We're going to look at the industry, and then we're going to look a little bit at collegiate esports as a whole, as well as Northwood's role in collegiate esports. So as we define esports, we're going to talk about what it is, how it differs from casual play, and what makes it a spectator sport, which is one of the biggest traits of esports. Then we'll go a little bit more broad and we'll talk about the industry as a whole and even the online gaming industry. We'll talk about the opportunities, what organizations do to capitalize on this, and some other stuff as well. We'll talk about collegiate esports as a whole. That way you guys can understand what the structure is like and the different orgs and some developer leagues and stuff like that. Then we'll get a little more specific, talking about the success of Northwood and how we became the first collegiate esports dynasty, and a little bit about our students, what we offer them, and what they have done for the program. Then with the conclusion, like Robin said, I'll go ahead and answer any questions. We'll do a little bit of a roundup, and we'll talk about some stuff to look out for in the future. So we'll go ahead and talk about the first thing, esports defined. Esports is a noun, a multiplayer video game played competitively for spectators, typically by professional gamers. Now, this is a little bit more important than most people might think. It's not spelled esports, there's no hyphen. You don't capitalize the S, and it's not a proper noun. You don't capitalize the E. It's just esports, it's a simple noun. The reason this is important is because this will kind of weed out some people who may not be more familiar with the esports scene. Someone that has been doing this for years understands this debate that has been going on for so long on how to spell esports. And we finally come to the conclusion that it's just a noun. So you might still see some people spelling it incorrectly, and if you want to be the one that's in the know, keep it how it is, as a simple noun. So now that we know it's a competitive multiplayer game built for spectators, how do these types of games differ from just casual gaming? Some of the types of esports are FPS games, or first-person shooters. Valorant is an example of a tactical shooter, much more slow. Fortnite, maybe you could call it an arena shooter. It's a lot of fun. That one's a little bit more popular. You may have heard of that one. And arguably the most popular, the name that most people have heard of, is Call of Duty. With strategy games, these are a little bit more complicated, and I usually shy away from talking about these ones just because it's so difficult for a new person to get into. There are a lot of strategies, there are a lot of characters, there's a lot going on your screen. So I usually try to usher people towards either the FPS games or other games like Rocket League and Smash Bros. Rocket League, easily the most accessible spectator sport. It's just soccer. That's all it is. There's 3v3 soccer. So what makes it interesting? Well, the ball is about 20 feet high and it's played by cars. A lot of people call it car ball as a joke. And this is one of the titles that has brought Northwood a lot of success. It's very simple to watch. This is one of the titles that we've earned world championship titles in, and it's just a lot of fun. There's the demolition aspect as well. Smash Bros, a lot of iconic characters: Sonic, Pikachu, Mario, all fighting on a stage. Lots of fun to watch that as well. So now that we know what the competitive stuff is, what are some of the casual things that you may or may not have heard of? There are adventure games, Minecraft, Super Mario, arcade games, Pac-Man and Space Invaders, and puzzle games like Tetris, or maybe you've played the mobile game Candy Crush. These games, there's not really a competitive aspect to them. They're much more laid back. And with arcade games, the biggest argument that could be made is high scores. But usually looking at a high score list is not a spectator sport. Some people try to turn these games into loosely based esports, whether, like I said, with high scores or beating the games as fast as possible, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. So now that we know what esports are and why people would want to spectate them, we're going to answer the biggest question I hear all the time. Why would anyone want to watch someone else play video games? So let's go ahead and talk about that. Why do people spectate esports? People who are aspiring competitors, they want to learn from the best of the best. These are players that have been competing for ages, and they are the number one in a sphere of hundreds of millions of aspiring competitive gamers. If you want to be number one or you want to make your way towards being number one, these are the people you want to watch. These are the people that are perfect players. Maybe you're not into the competitive side. Maybe you want to just enjoy it. Maybe you just want to watch. There are a lot of organizations that field teams, and these teams are similar to any NFL team or NBA team. You pick a favorite, you cheer for them, and it's a great time. These organizations are a little bit different. They're usually not location-based like traditional sports are, but you can still find your favorite players, find your favorite teams, and cheer for them as well. How are we going to spectate these esports? There are two options. You can have live tournaments streamed on something like YouTube or Twitch. We'll talk a little bit about that later. There are show matches, celebrity matches, but there are also live in-person tournaments. You'll have a gaming arena. There'll be a huge crowd. You can see in the picture here in the bottom left, selling out stadiums of tens of thousands of people, all to watch the best players. So it's one thing to talk about, yeah, we have a lot of viewers. Yeah, there's a lot of money in this industry, but I want to give you guys some actual metrics. The 2023 League of Legends World Championships ended up pulling 100 million total viewers. To draw a comparison there, I believe last year's Super Bowl had about 120 million total viewers. And, that is just absolutely obscene to be approaching, the United States #1 spectator sporting event. Regarding the money, if you want your team or your organization to be in front of all of those viewers and to earn the revenue therein, a franchise slot for League of Legends was recently sold for $20 million. This is just so your name and your players can be on the big leagues. 20 million is actually a little bit of a lower number. The organization TSM was trying to pull out of League. They just wanted to get rid of the slot. And by getting rid of it, it was still $20 million. Now, for streaming rights, we're still on the topic of spectating. To earn exclusive streaming rights of just one game, Overwatch 2, YouTube purchased those rights for $160 million. And this was immediately after Twitch was trying to buy, I believe it was either 80 or $90 million. So nearly doubling their offer just so they can have every single Overwatch 2 fan on YouTube instead of Twitch. So moving on, we'll talk about the ecosystem a little bit. I know this graphic might be a little small for people on smaller monitors. So on the right here, I'm going to talk about it a little bit more. So the online gaming ecosystem, this is everything: casual games, developers, hardware, software, the arenas themselves, and of course, esports. This is a $61 billion industry for online gaming. And esports is probably the biggest piece, just because everything kind of feeds into it. And it's a focus here today. Became a $1 billion market in 2019, which was around when Northwood started. And now we're approaching a $5 billion market here in 2024. Absolutely tremendous growth. And with Northwood being one of the first and the pioneers of collegiate esports, probably just a fantastic decision from us early on. So going back to the big picture, devs and publishers, someone's got to make the game. Someone's got to send it to the players. And this is definitely the backbone of gaming and esports. Streaming, we just talked about spectating. There are Twitch and YouTube that are going to stream these games out to people that want to watch. And these events are usually hosted in number 3, which is gaming arenas. You just saw a huge sold out arena, and there's going to be some smaller scale stuff for collegiate as well. On the first slide, you saw the Northwood Esports Gaming Lab. And now with all of these things, you got to have the hardware to play it on and the software to run it. This is where things get a little more interesting. Once you have that hardware and software, there are going to be sponsorship opportunities. We talked about how, you want to watch the best of the best. You want to watch this guy who is the #1 League of Legends player. Okay, when it comes to hardware, what type of computer does he use? What type of processing unit does he use? Maybe his controller or his mouse. These are things people want to know, and these are the commercials you're going to see in the esports industry. And of course, esports. We have the organizations, we have everything that we've talked about. So that's the industry as a whole. I know I started small by just defining it. We're going big by covering the entire industry. And now we're going to shift our focus to what is most important, which is Northwood. So we'll lead into that by talking about what our players do to compete. We have how these students are practicing esports. What does it take to be successful as a competitor? Just like traditional sports, there is going to be film review and preparation. Our players are going to learn from mistakes. We're going to prepare new strategies. And myself as a coach are going to guide these students throughout this process. With individual matches, we got to scout these teams out and prepare individual game plans, as well as build our own strategies and maybe counter some strategies from other universities. In the meantime, some of our players want to improve themselves as individual players. There's going to be individual practice known as solo queuing, which is just loading up a game with a bunch of random people and trying to hone your skills. You can practice your strategies that you worked with on your team in solo queue. And the most important one, improving mechanics, quote unquote. Mechanics are going to be your ability to aim, your ability to pull off combos, your ability to execute your team's game plan. This is how well you can control a mouse and keyboard or maybe a controller. So once these players have, perfected themselves or approached that level of perfection, they are going to join Northwood in the collegiate esports scene. So as we approach Northwood even closer, we got to talk about the competitive structure. This is really interesting because it's very, very different from traditional sports. I've been drawing a lot of comparisons, and this is where we're going to find the disconnect. For esports, there is no NCAA for collegiate. There are going to be two different kinds of leagues. We have organization-based leagues, which are run by third parties that just want to support the scene, run competitions, and offer an opportunity for collegiate programs. You're going to see things like NECC, ECAC, and non-pictured, we have NACE, which we're going to be entering again next year. And then there's going to be developer leagues. This is run by the companies that create the games. Overwatch 2, there's a series called the Overwatch Collegiate Championship Series. For Rocket League, there's the Rocket League World Championship, which we won last year, becoming world champions. And so one of the biggest differences, probably the most interesting one, is that when it comes to the money and the prizing in esports, the players get to keep the prizing for all of these leagues. And that's a big pull, and that's why Northwood has been able to put together successful rosters. As pioneers in these collegiate esports leagues, we were able to get an early head start, Northwood being incredibly innovative in that manner and building a strong team. And the best players, the professional players, they want to join Northwood. They want to win. They want to represent the best school, and they want to win these leagues. So moving on to Northwood, it's more than just competition. We have our championships, yes, but we also want to talk about the student life here, as well as our esports management degree. So just how successful is Northwood? We are two-time world champions, one in Rocket League, one in Valorant. We are 25-time national championship earners, and we've earned 57 conference championship titles and 22 tournament championship titles. Now, I know these numbers might seem a little bit ridiculous for a program that's only 4 or 5 years old. We'll go ahead and go back, and you can see NECC, ECAC, Riot Scholastic. There are so many different leagues that Northwood is entering. Now, with these leagues are the multitude of games that I mentioned earlier as well. We have Valorant, Overwatch, Rocket League, Smash Bros. All of these games, Northwood is supporting about 8 to 10 titles. Some of them are less popular than others, but each of these leagues, each of these teams, and Northwood, we will have multiple teams for each title. Every single day of the week, myself and Aiden are coaching and handling matches probably around four times a day. You look at a typical Tuesday, it's going to be 4 Call of Duty teams competing in CCL, and then our Smash teams competing in NECC, and then our 1v1 competitions for NECC as well. That's just a Tuesday. Saturdays are obviously ridiculous. These matches are usually in the evening, and they usually have to avoid conflicts with schooling. So on weekends, we have, Face It, we have Valorant, we have CLOL, we have Riot, we have Rocket League. It gets ridiculous. There is a lot going on with Northwood Esports. So if you ever have a hard time getting a hold of myself or Aiden, it's because we are very, very busy with all of these leagues. So going back, we'll talk a little bit about student life, which is obviously our main focus. Our program currently has 162 students. We just finalized that list about a couple of weeks ago, and these students have access to a top-level esports lab. I've showed a couple pictures so far. They come in to socialize, they come in to compete. This is where we're hosting our open houses, which I'll talk about. And it's just in general the backbone of the program. To recruit the best students, we also offer scholarships. Some of our students are, incredible players. They are professionals. They are the top talent. We have Lion Blaze, who is one of the best Rocket League players of all time, competing here at Northwood. We have some of our Call of Duty players have gone pro. We've had multiple Overwatch players move on to become pros, and a lot more. There's a lot going on with these players. When you have that competitive structure, when you're in that road to improvement, It's just inevitable to become a professional when you're at that level with Northwood. And then we'll move on to our esports management degree. Esports management degree, I do teach one of the classes, the coaching management class. It covers the coaching aspect of things, how to manage teams, analytical stuff. It's a very broad class, and I try to cover everything, and I tailor these types of things to the students themselves. If the student wants to be a manager, I tailor their projects to them. If they want to be a coach, it's a very hands-on class. I want to prepare these students to be successful in esports. Victoria Horsley, event management. She is currently the director of all competitions for Riot's game Valorant. Absolutely incredible person, lots of experience, great classes, more than qualified to help all Northwood students succeed. She also teaches performance management and the seminar class. So, like I said, very much based in sports. If you look at the curriculums, they're very, very similar. You can go look for yourself. Going back to student life, we have the Esports Open House coming up on March 20th. We have a lot of students signed up, and it's just a great time to show you around the lab, show you what's going on. It's one thing to look at the pictures here in this presentation. It's another to go and experience it for yourself. Meet the students that Northwood is fielding, look at the hard work they've been putting in for ages. So a little bit more about esports. Maybe we've caught your interest. Maybe you're like, okay, this is kind of cool. How can I watch? Where can I stay up to date? We'll talk about the how first. We are very focused on student-driven content creation. The best way to be a marketer, the best way to be an advertiser, the best way to become, a social media guru is to have that hands-on experience. Obviously, me and Aiden are guiding them. In addition to coaching all of these teams, we're guiding the content team on creating these campaigns, marketing campaigns and such. We're working on our social media presence. Now that we have a team, we have someone in charge of graphics, someone in charge of scheduling posts. And we also have a broadcast team that is going to be producing and broadcasting our live matches. We are currently in the process of putting together a better schedule, and we have recruited students for these roles on scholarships. That's right. We do bring in some professionals to kind of fit those management roles, or aspiring professionals to come on as students and build these teams and help everyone come together and succeed and help Northwood succeed. So for the competitions themselves, we have these teams putting together weekly results graphics. Alexa is doing a great job with that. We have gameplay clips posted every week. We usually shoot for 4 or 5. Austin doing very well. And we're going to be soon covering playoffs, nationals, and the world championships that are coming up. We will be broadcasting them as well. Toby and Shelby doing a great job with that. So, finalizing everything, there was a lot going on. I want to talk about what we learned today. It is an Esports 101 class. We do have to, we'll treat it as such. So we defined esports. We understand now that is a spectator sport with competitive players trying to best each other. The spectators are there to watch the best of the best. The spectators are there to cheer. And the spectators are there to support Northwood. Obviously, some of our favorite teams is going to be Northwood University, and we'll all be cheering for them. The industry behind it being incredibly powerful. The online gaming industry being $60 billion, and esports itself being, nearly 10% of that. And it's growing. Just these few years, incredible growth. And it's only going to continue to grow. The industry, the business is incredible. And Northwood did a fantastic job getting into that industry very early. Collegiate esports. The passion of collegiate competition is there, and it is strong for sure. All these students that, whether they want to support the Michigan collegiate scene, the Tri-City area supporting Northwood, and all of our, international students and remote students that are around the US, around the world, supporting Northwood. That is one of the biggest powerhouse schools. You may have seen our trophy case. It's absolutely incredible. We have all these titles with the lab, with all these competitions, and the ability to stay up to date and the ability to nurture the students here at Northwood to prepare them for the scene. So I do appreciate everyone coming out and watching. I do have a little bit of time here for some Q&A. And if there's anything we didn't cover that you have questions about, or maybe you don't remember until after the presentation is over, you can always email me, jacobj@northwood.edu. I love to answer questions. I love to get you guys involved. This program is, something I'm very passionate about, obviously. And so I just want, more support. I appreciate those who have done so much for us. And I appreciate anyone that might be coming through here in the future. Thank you, Robin, posting some more information about that as well.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I just put it, if anyone's interested in learning more about the esports open house and to register, I just put the link in the chat. But feel free to send your questions using the Q&A feature. We got one in. It was what licensing opportunities are there for NU esports merchandise?
We are currently loosely teamed. It's not an official sponsorship, but we have a very, very good relationship with esports gear. It's hard to see, but I'm actually wearing our jersey here today. Let me move my hair, I apologize. Got the American flag, the Paul logo, and Northwood Esports. This is the gear that all of our players will be wearing. And esports gear, just an incredible job, very high quality products. And we also have some products in the bookstore. If you want to go out there and check it out, we have some of our other stylized logos. Sorry.
Another
None of
question.
the 10.
Oh,
sorry. I have it up. I can just take it from here if you don't mind, and then
yeah, of course.
we'll answer some other stuff. I didn't have it pulled up at first, so you're looking out for me. I appreciate that greatly. So one question: what is Northwood's current rankings in the national and world stage? A lot of these titles that we've earned are very, very recent. Last year, we were marked as the world champions for Rocket League and Valorant. In Overwatch, we just earned a national championship title. So far, #1 in all of these, to be clear. Call of Duty with CCL, we just won the national championship. And a lot of our other teams are very, very close. Smash Bros team is #2. We probably have the #1 Madden player. I didn't talk about sporting video games like Madden and FIFA too much, but we do have a Madden player. We do have a FIFA player, and they're both incredible. Pretty much everything, bare minimum, we are going to be top 3 in. So depending on what your favorite game is or what esport you want to learn more about, that's what you're going to want to cover. How can alumni support your department? What is our biggest need? Great question. Honestly, all it can take as a beginning is watching, keep an eye out for the marketing stuff. Keep an eye out for our players. You guys have done an incredible job so far. Because of you guys, we've been able to put together this program. And for more specifics, maybe an email can be sent out to me, and we'll look at some opportunities that alumni may be able to offer, or ways I can get you guys involved. Business opportunities to license for merchandise. There's a lot of them, and it's a work in progress. Before Cody left, and now with me and Aiden, that is something we're working on. Like I mentioned earlier, incredibly busy. We're coaching 20 games a day. We are recruiting students, and business opportunities is a very near opportunity we're looking for. The licensing process is incredibly complicated, and a lot of these orgs in esports don't really understand the collegiate scene as much. There are restrictions with certain things, and we got to work around those opportunities. but they are coming soon. I appreciate the excitement for that. So that's the 4 I have so far. Robin, I'm not sure. I think you mentioned that you had some talking points lined up that maybe you wanted to cover.
Yeah, I know recently we just had the announcement that 2 of our players went professional. Like, how does that go about? Like, how does someone who's a student now like become a professional player, and what does it mean to like our program?
Great question. So, like I mentioned, these leagues, there's a lot of them. They're complicated. Um, it's incredible to watch, and these students are doing all of that on top of their classes. In addition to that, some of these students are staying at Northwood while they become pros. So you'll have the Overwatch Collegiate League, but then there will be the Overwatch Professional League. This is where you're going to have Vega, or Diego, just got signed to the Toronto Defiant. So now he will be competing in the Overwatch leagues as well as OWL, going to be balancing the professional leagues. The professional leagues are going to be open to everyone around the world. I know OWL has some teams from Korea and China and South America, as well as North America, obviously. And those are the scenes where you're really going to pull the best of the best. This is where we find out who is number 1, who is the perfect player. So congratulations to Diego for making it, and Hockey, or Steven, who just got signed to TSM as a professional Rocket League player.
Thanks, Jacob. I think that's it for questions. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We are recording this webinar, and we will share the link out after the webinar. So everyone will get an email with the link just in case you had to join late and would like to just see the slides again or anything. We hope that you'll join us next month for our March webinar, which will be on Thursday, March 21st. It will be an economic webinar with Dr. Tim Nash. So we hope we'll see you then. Thank you again for joining us today. And thank you, Jacob, for presenting.
Thank you.